Welcome to the Sensitive Biker podcast, and this is the next episode of Close Up and Personal. And this time we're gonna talk about diet and health. And I have me in the studio,
Marian Magdalena. Glad to be here.
and will you tell a little about yourself before we start?
Yes, yeah. First of all, I'm an addict like the rest of you, your customer in the podcast, I guess. And I'm a nutritional therapist, and I also is a biomedical laboratory scientist, and I combine those two skills or educations within what I'm doing within nutritional therapy as well. Yeah. Well, I could say a lot about where I grew up, and I grew up in a war zone, but it was not in the exotic land far away, but here in Zealand, south part of Zealand in Denmark. And when I went out of childhood, I got complex PTSD, and really a lot of other diagnosis, which has been a handicap because I didn't know about it until a few years ago. I'm 62 now, and I was around 58, I think, before I was diagnosed with complex PTSD and dissociative disorder, and I was 61 when I was diagnosed with ADHD, and just for a couple of months I was also examined for dyslexia. I knew I had it, but I was never helped because I could read. So say you can't have dyslexia when you can read. So, and all these diagnoses, or not the diagnosis, but what they come from, has given me a life in very, very high stress mode. So from now, I am on early retirement, or in some part of the world, you might call it a disability a benefit.
Yeah.
It depends where you are, I guess.
But you mind telling a little bit about your upbringing, why you got all this?
Yeah,
these diagnoses
as I said, I was born into a war zone. It was a middle class home. My dad was self-employed. He was painting cars, and my mom was at home partly. His shop was in conjunction to our living house, so it was nearby, close, And as they were in the 16th and 17th in the middle class, everything should look nice, but it smells ugly. That's what I used to say. And there was a lot of violence, a lot of abuse. My dad was alcoholic, and because he was car painting, also all these very, very nasty Xylene and everything goes to the brain. Yes. Yeah. So he got he was also intoxicated by that when he was painting the cars, because he was in a hot closed room for the cars to really get shiny. And at that time there were no protections. You didn't wear anything. You have maybe a little mask, but it didn't take anything besides the dust in the air. So and he was drinking heavily, and if it has been painting cars and drinking heavily as he did every day, it was in the morning they picked up 2 boxes of beer, and in Denmark 1 box is 30 beers, and the one were for the other guys at the little shop, and the one were for my dad. If you have been painting in the morning, he has, because it was very hot in that room, he has already finished the first 30 beers. So after lunch, he got another box with 30 beers.
Okay.
Meaning when he came in the afternoon, he was completely out of his mind. He was unreliable, and I remember just scanning his face and see, because if he had a swollen lip, meaning he has actually drunk a lot of beers from the bottle. So that was one of the and then you knew, go, because he was not beating the children, but he was beating my mom, and after her next wife, and he forced us to see it, and said, "I'm doing this for you." And it was horrible to be a little girl growing up with that on your shoulders, that a person near you liked and loved was so badly beaten, and he ruined the house. He break everything down. It was and at the age of 7, I was violently attacked by a family member who nearly killed me by holding me down on the floor, banging my head in the floor, and because I also had a knee in my back, I couldn't breathe. So it was I went quite, for that, I can't remember much of it, but later I remember I couldn't breathe. And when they found me, my big sister, she was just 13, and she found me, and I was really, not conscious at all, and had a lot of spots in my face because all those small blood vessels were yes, because a lack of oxygen. Because it was also a family member who did this to me. Again, I was from the middle section of the society, and in Denmark, you didn't spoke, so they never took me to the emergency hall. When my mom came home, she took me outside to have some of the cold air so I could breathe better. And that's the first thing I remember, waking up out there. And I remember how ugly I have it. I had really, I was nauseous and a headache, monster headache. And then I went to the toilet and looked in the mirror, and I really got scared when I saw me. I was totally pale with these small black spots of small blood vessels that was exploded, or that was and I guess that's in conjunction with all the very rough environment in that was what gave me the complex PTSD. And that and the case as I dissociate when things happen, and especially if I meet angry men, tall, beard, deep voice, shouting, or are in some way have an angry attitude, then I very snaps into this, and it's not something I choose. It's something that happened. But during my therapy with my therapist, I have learned to, when I got this tunnel vision and I am kind of confused, I can't see, I don't know where I am, then I know, you have to go lay down, take a blanket over you and cuddle yourself. And then I slowly will come back. I can be dissociated for hours, and I've tried to be there for a month. And it's horrible because you cannot navigate in the world, and you're disconnected in a very, very unpleasant way. And people can't see, because they still see you. Are you there? No, I'm not. I'm long gone. And I can't say it before, after. So But it has been really a big relief to get some tools to get out of this, and to realize and to say, even though I'm disconnected. Yeah. So that was, and then and at the age of 12, I started drinking because I couldn't stand where I was, and I wanted to just get away. Also, in where I grew up, there was a lot of sexism, and all the violence were at the women. They were on a lower level, and until then, I have until 12. I'm like one of the guys, and then I got my menstruation, and I realized, no, you're not. You're never gonna be. And I felt lost in it. So that was one of the other reasons I started drinking, because kind of, suicide by bottle, I don't know. And I was really also tortured with the rough nightmares, and I had sleep paralysis, meaning that I have this horrible nightmare, waking up, and then I was paralyzed. I knew this, some part of me knew, you are in a nightmare, just take it easy, but I couldn't move. And normally it's the voice are the first thing I get in contact with, so I can scream. And the next is I'm really concentrate while screaming, still screaming, because I'm in the nightmare at the same time. While screaming, I really put all my effort into moving my arms, because I knew we should just touch the bed frame or the wall, then I would be out of that. And I really have scared a lot of people with that. And of course also myself, but that was also a part of being a teenager and growing up for me, fighting this. When I was 17, I met the drugs for the first time, and it was amphetamine. I have been smoking marijuana, but it didn't bring me any good, so I was not. But first time I got this drug, amphetamine, I was, whoa, this makes my life much better. And later on, I went, because in the 70s, 80s, it was easy to get amphetamine, and it was quite cheap in Denmark, but and cocaine was the new drug, not the new, but it was much more expensive. But into the 90s, then it swapped. So it was cocaine was the cheap one. So I went to the cocaine, of course. But it didn't give me the same as amphetamine did. And now I know why. Because I'm lately diagnosed with ADHD. And you can either treat ADHD with amphetamine or cocaine, those two drugs on the market. They're not called amphetamine or cocaine, but they are drugs from this substance, yes. So, so in, I guess, many parts of my life I've been out of touch. I got clean first time when I was 23, and was clean for 10 years, thanks Lord. But without the knowledge that I was an addict, and they told me, you're so young, Marianne, you will be able to drink, and not doing the drugs, but drink. And those 10 years, I got my education, I got my children, I married, children, and then also divorced. And half a year after I was divorced, some of the girls, I was living in Copenhagen with my 2 children, and they said, we have to go out and have party, and I was always looking up for places that I felt safe within, meaning not that I was safe, but this was the environment I knew from childhood. So I was joining a girl group, which was a part of Hells Angels because I've been also through my teenage years, I've been in different motorbike clubs, and because those were the kind of guy I knew from my childhood. They have this sexistic attitude to women. They just like my dad. I mean, that was nothing new, but I know this. I don't like it, but I know it. It's safe. No, it's not safe, but that's how it is. So I was there. I was in active use again for 5.5 years. And then I said, now, Marianne, you have 2 small children. And I had a job at that time as well. You need to move your ass out of here because it's not good. It's not good. Because my parents always were active 24/7. I was never active when my children was at home with me because I thought that was the most unsafe for me as a child. But what I didn't realize was that I have the most, hangovers, and not only alone hangovers, but also I was, what you call it? I can't remember the name. I needed my drug. But I couldn't take it. So to rely these symptoms, I got ephedrine from my doctor because that was okay. Prescription drug, that's always okay, not. So then I moved out of Copenhagen, and after 2 years at the countryside, I realized that even though I wasn't taking any drugs anymore, the alcohol was just growing larger. And I went in 2000, summer 2000, I went into the community of AA and NA and ACA. I belong everywhere.
And how long have you been clean now?
24 years and a couple of months.
Congrats.
Thank you. Yes. But
But what have you done with your diet according to your diagnosis and stuff like that?
I didn't know I had these diagnoses until just a few years ago. But I realized that eating this way and this way did a really, really tremendous a lot for me. So meaning for some years I cut out I was free of drugs and alcohol from 2000, and this is from the beginning of 2006. I skipped all sugar, all dairy from cow, not sheep and not goat, but from cow. And I skipped all meat from pork. I was only eating, but there was a lot, vegetables and lamb or ox or whatever, and of course fish. And then I really, really, really were eating large doses of fish oil, or omega-3, but omega-3 oil and olive oil. And I was eating nuts and seeds, and that was it. And within half a year, it changed me completely, and it was, whoa, this is really magic. So for 2 years, I was able to really don't eat anything else in that. So nothing that could trick my addict at all. So or my addiction.
So no sugar, no caffeine?
No caffeine, no.
Why not caffeine?
Because I was a very stressed person, which I still are in some way. My whole system cannot tolerate it. And today I'm drinking 2 cups of an egg latte in the morning. But the 2 cups is half caffeine free and half caffeine, and that's it. For the rest of the day, I will drink tea or if I am in a social event, I will drink caffeine free. But if I take coffee later, I can wave goodbye to my night sleep. That's, yeah. And it goes for sugar as well. My brain is totally messed when I eat sugar. And my addiction starts. My focus is only put, when can I take the next bit of this cake if I'm out visiting, or candy, or oh no, the shop are closing, I need to go. And I mean, it's horrible. Just when I was active with alcohol and drugs. No.
I would like if we could break down what you said, your sugar,
caffeine,
weed, flour, and milk products.
Yeah, cow milk.
If we could break down why it's not good for you. I know that sugar is like...
it's a drug.
Yeah.
And caffeine, it's a drug.
It's sugar, it changes in your brain and it becomes a narcotic.
And so, caffeine does not that it, I mean, but it will keep you awake. And some people use it when they have to stay awake. And in small doses and small amount, it could be healthy. It depends, because this is, not black and white, but for some people, having coffee in the morning, for example, will make them lose weight. But it depends. It doesn't work for me. I'm still overweight, so it doesn't. But it might work for others. And we have seen scientific papers saying that green tea and also caffeine is actually can be a help, but only take it in the morning, because your night sleep will be really messed. So, but for me it didn't work. And this is I must say, to learn, I now also have an education, but to learn what does this do for my body, it's a try and error. Because otherwise you should have a lot of blood tests, you should have made your genome, of course I have that now, but I didn't in that time, because then we can see, okay, you have a problem here, you have a problem here, you have a meaning you cannot do it. Either it can be a problem with like a problem board, that's how your genome is, you cannot tolerate caffeine, or it could be a digestion problem. When we see on your metabolites in urine, we can see, oh, you don't break this good, break down this caffeine, so it lasting too long. So, and it could be a gut problem, because stress always destroy the environment in your gut. And all the microbiomes living down there, all these nice guys, we'd like to stay there for good, but and they will get really ruled out as soon as you get stressed. They have made a scientific investigation in mouse where they see how long time after stressing these mice has they got what we call a leaky gut, and a change in the bacterium living in the gut. It's only 4 hours. 4 hours.
Just because of stress.
Yes. So managing stress is a really, really, really a big issue.
When you're talking about food also.
And food and health. And managing stress, if you can't digest caffeine, that will be managing stress. If you can't tolerate sugar, and as an addict, I guess all addicts, we have for a long time lost that ability to tolerate sugar. So, do you never eat sugar, Marion? Oh, I do. When I have a feast, party, then I do. I know that tomorrow and the next 3 days might be hard.
Well,
but that's a calculated risk.
I have the same thing when I eat a lot of sugar. Then I have like a downer. The next day I feel down, I feel depressed, because I'm not continue eating sugar. So my brain is just craving it. So, and it's actually not good for anything.
No.
at all. It just feels good for a second.
Just a second.
Yeah.
And that second, that's why I'm coming back because it's and it has to do also with the what it does in the brain. Also that it actually triggers and our dopamine and everything that activates dopamine.
That's what addicts like.
That's what addicts like. We do it again and again and again. And what we should say, why is it so, Marion? That's not because we were made millions, not millions, but at least 100,000 of years ago. And in that environment, sugar was really, really a treat, not every day coming. So honey or what, that was really something you valuated, and you couldn't eat it like we can all the time. And that was fine, because we also sometimes need this. There in honey you find also some anti-microbial substance that help you fight
diseases.
Diseases, but especially lung diseases or I can't
respiratory.
Yeah, thank you. That was the word. Respiratory disease, exactly.
Okay.
So, or if you have a little cut or something, you can put honey in it. But it has to be raw.
Yeah, raw honey.
Yes, most of the honey in Denmark sold in the shops, it's not raw. Again, if you're looking for something special, they will always put it on a sticker or say this is raw, because then they can take more money for it. Yeah. So from a market point of view, if they haven't said it, it's not there.
No.
It's not. Yeah.
But I've seen in other countries, in Poland and Turkey, where they sell honey, it looks and tastes different, but they also, in those countries, they also eat the honeycomb.
Yeah.
They eat the wax as well.
Yeah, yeah.
What kind of special benefits is there?
Propolis is also in Denmark. Here we separate it, and you can actually where they produce the honey, go to this guy or woman who does it, and say, I would like the propolis, and they sell it in small boxes, and then you can chew it, and it's also really, really good for your whole respiratory tract as well. But it will really, really fight infections. Okay. So that's yeah.
Oh, nice. I didn't know that.
Oh, you can do, but you have to go to the guy himself. Yeah. Well, I guess in some health stores you can buy it as well. Probably, yeah. But it's costly. You have to know a guy. So yeah. I need some propolis.
What about wheat? What about corn flour?
Yeah.
Why is that not good for you?
But it's not corn. It's because that's something they might smell.
Oh.
It doesn't matter. Yeah. But it's when you are in a great state of stress all the time, as I mentioned before, it will destroy your normal environment in your gut and make it what we call leaky gut, meaning that these cells that are only one layer of cells between us and the inner of our gut, because the inner of our gut, it's not us, it's outside us. It's really, but it's only one layer of cells. And in a stress situation, this layer, they are held together, what is called tight junction. So they are really glued together. Yeah. But in a stress situation, this tight junction will start to open. And what is happening is that instead of have a tight junction, meaning that all what you're eating has been breakdown, will go through a cell. Each cell will look and say, oh, this is rubbish, have to go out. Oh, this is a nutrition, I send it out, because on the other side is the blood vessels, just nearby, and it can go to the blood vessel, into the blood vessel, and go wherever it needs to be in the brain, in wherever it's when your junction is not tight anymore, you got what we call leaky gut, and the big problem here is that food not totally digested or breakdown or substance that has been a part of the breakdown but not finished or can actually go through here and directly into the bloodstreams. And for especially gluten and cow milk, there's this problem that it can make a lot of disturbance all around. And first time I saw that was my youngest daughter in 2004. She got epilepsy, and my chiropractor, he said, Marianne, be aware, it can actually be a digestion problem. And he told me about a professor in Norway, at the Rigshospitalet in Norway. He was doing science into this with autistic children. And I called him, I sent him an email and asked if he could test my daughter's urine, because this was a urine test. Normally when we test for metabolite, it will be in urine. And he said, yeah, it's okay, but I only do a batch when I have a whole batch, because that was, you could not do it, process it one by one. You have to wait for 90 samples. So it's okay. It was for free because it was great. And I sent a bottle of frozen urine from my daughter up to this lab at Rigshospitalet. His name was Kalle Reiter. And after 3 months, I got an answer back. Yeah, she doesn't tolerate neither gluten or cow milk product, because they are, especially gluten, are made into this what you called neuropeptide, meaning for her it was actually passing through the blood-brain barrier and causing her having epilepsy. Because, and he said she needs to be out of especially gluten for at least 6 months, because that's what the washout period is, and for cow milk as well. So I put her on this diet, and that was 2 years before I started to educate myself. But it was, and to be honest, he has this professor, Kalle Reiter, he had made more than one a scientific article, and this was actually printed in a very famous, very a top of the pop scientific paper, and maybe in a second I can remember which paper. I can't remember right now. It's my stress gene. I do not have a huge working memory, so that's part of being stressed whole life.
Sometimes I can't even remember what's the name of our children.
No, so, exactly. Yeah, exactly. It was well, it will come in a short while. So, but I took it to my daughter's medical doctor at the hospital, and I said, well, this is couldn't we try this before we treat her with medication, or do it on the same time, and then after half a year try to let her come out of medication, because having epilepsy, every time you have an seizure, it will cause brain damage. Yeah, in smaller, it doesn't, depends on the seizure. So and I said, I know Kalle Reiter, and he's a great scientist, and what he's doing is really, really amazing, but we don't use that in Denmark. And I was, my goodness, we are talking about my daughter's brain. She was 8 at that time. So I did it at home, but since the doctor didn't approve it, her dad didn't follow. So when she was home visiting him every second weekend, he was feeding her with stuff she couldn't tolerate. I now know that she has this leaky gut because as a very small child she got ear infection and got antibiotics, and antibiotics is a stressor for the gut, because it kills the good bacteria as well as the bad bacteria. It doesn't different. You can't see, oh, this is a bad one, I kill you, this is a good one, you can stay. No, it clears the whole board. And that is a huge stressor.
Yeah.
So if you have been on antibiotics again and again, you will have leaky gut. And you should avoid gluten and cow milk for at least 6 months while you are building up the whole inner lining and tighten your tight junction and
But if you have stress like PTSD, then you also can get a leaky gut.
Yes.
And then if you also eat gluten and milk products, then it's get even worse.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's drawing you down.
Yeah. So it's a good idea to avoid those things if you have stress symptoms or PTSD.
Definitely, yes. Yeah. And also just, I'm going into a stress period. Okay, then I do not eat this because it's not good for me. In my personal diet, I have ruled it out because I've been in stress for so many years that I really can't tolerate it. Yeah. But it's not that you can see in a blood sample that it's an allergy, because it's not an allergy, it's a digestion problem. So you have to check your urine. And in Denmark, at least, you cannot check it at the normal health society, not society, but you cannot go to your GP and get this sample examined. Okay. You have to pay it by yourself.
Yeah.
And we do not have insurance that in not rest of the world, but most of the world, and that's a difference.
But what about also when you? I also had problems with acid reflux.
Yeah.
Can that also be induced by stress? Or?
It's also a yes, because when you are in a stress environment, stress situation, you will use a lot of nutritions. Not only will you destroy your the whole environment in your gut, you will also use a lot of extra nutrition, vitamins, minerals, and etc. And for all our valves we have in the body, they are really in high need of magnesium, because that will secure a proper function of the valve, so you can open and close. And if the valve here is not proper closed, you will realize when you lay down in the evening and go to bed that you have a GERD or heartburn. That's because you need more magnesium.
Okay.
And it should be a magnesium you can actually digest.
Yeah, and there's different kinds.
Yes, there's a lot of 7-10 different. So that's important that you take the right. You should have brought your maybe because you have the right one to show. Yeah. But and also it could be that we all have H. pylori, the bacterium in our stomach acid, because this is a bacteria that actually can live in this very hard environment. But for some people, that's too much of it. And you can test it at the doctor with a breath test, or you can test it with feces test. It depends. And that could be also that it's growing too much, and that can also give some kind of heartburn. But most of the time, it's because you need more minerals. Because the minerals, and it's the magnesium, calcium, zinc, iron, whatever, they are all involved in the communication over cell membranes. Natrium, potassium, all of this.
So also, so what you're saying is also eat more salt. That would be good as well.
It depends. Okay. If you're eating a normal Western diet, don't. But if you're eating vegetables and meat, and you're cooking your food yourself and not pre-made or junk food or anything like that, then you need more salt. Yes.
But for me, when I was younger and a child, I was also always told that, or if you eat too much salt, it binds the liquid in your body, and you'll get fat and bloated. And so I was kind of growing up being afraid of salt, and I didn't put salt on anything, or didn't eat or salt.
You get a high blood pressure, and your heart can't tolerate. And
exactly.
Yes.
Just like butter is bad for you.
Not. But yes, exactly. Yeah. Again, it depends how you eat, because if you get a lot of processed food, there will be tons of salt in it. It's not the good salt, but there will be a tons of salt. So you have to get rid of that first, and then introduce some good salt. And what could be good salt? It could be Himalaya salt, or it could be
Epsom salt, Celtic salt.
Celtic salt, or it could also be real sea salt made the proper way. I kind to avoid sea salt, even though I think it tastes. Sea salt from the Mediterranean area tastes wonderful, but nowadays, where we have all this microplastic in the sea, that could be a problem. So, and I know, stop going down that path, Marianne, because then everything is not to eat, and that's not what I'm trying to say, because I want to live and have fun. So but you have to take that into consideration. So for my water, I use either Himalaya salt, because these seas were dried out a million years ago. There were no plastic, so thank you. And or Celtic salt. So those are the two I use for this. And I also have some as a liquid. Here in Denmark you can buy what we call isoelectric mineral.
Like Soleil or something like that.
No. It's actually from a lake in Utah in US. Yeah. And I put 3 drops of that as well. A little bit of salt, not the much that you do, because that would too much for me. And again, this is why we are our own reference. Always. What does this do to me? How do I digest it? And how does it impact on my sleep, or my ability to remember, or the way I see the way I'm bright, or is I'm in depression, or always, because there is no such things that one size fit all. Don't ever buy it. So, no. But of course there can be guidings, and then you can try and see how does this work for me.
Of course.
And at the end of the day, it's still that we are made. Back in the time, we were living at the savannah, and we were eating what we could find of nuts and roots and whatever there were about not vegetables. And when we were lucky, we could kill a bison or whatever and have meat for a long time. So this is what we can eat. So if it's all natural, not processed food, you can eat it for the most of it. But it is only 10,000 years ago we start to actually use the those product with containing gluten. So there is some people who can digest it. Most of us can't. And if we got stressed, then it's really, really ugly badly, because they make these neuropeptides making fuck in the brain. So yeah. It's
So what is a good diet if you have problems with stress and PTSD?
It is, as I said, no sugar, no caffeine, and it's actually not only diet, it's a lifestyle, because you need to manage your stress, do some meditation, go into the wood and hug a tree, or just sit in the grass with barefoot, or here in Denmark we have a cold winter, so you can actually go and take a cold bath and sea bath, your winter bath, and that's wonderful. Wonderful. I just can recommend it. It's really so it's managing your stress by these tools, and managing your stress for what you are eating and are digesting, meaning eating food that do not actually tricks any of your system. Vegetables, and if you are not allergic, you can also add your vegetable, eat the big amount of different vegetables belonging to nightshade family. If you have problems with allergy, try to avoid nightshade. And what is nightshade? It's potatoes, tomatoes, aubergine, that's and chili, as well. Red pepper, green pepper, it's all nightshade. Try to avoid that if you have some allergy, just to give your system a chance to recover. Maybe, and that's in all nutrition and therapy, our aim is to build up the body so you will be able to eat that kind of food again, because you are made to eat that. You are made to actually could handle this kind of food. And then eat really, really good oil, omega-3 oil, because also remember, before we became a human being, really way back in the universe, we were all small gobbles in the this sea full of minerals. So when we raised on first 4 legs and then 2 legs, I guess, and crawl up on land, we were really, really used to have a high level of minerals, because this is what we actually walked out millions of years ago. And what WHO has back in 2012 actually said that up to 75% of the world's population are lack of zinc. Zinc is a mineral we get when we eat oyster. And if you eat oyster 3 times a week, you have enough. Otherwise, oyster or zinc is also very hard to actually obtain. If you're eating, and if you're eating any kind of product which is containing gluten, then it will block your a possibility to obtain it.
Okay, you can't absorb it if you eat gluten.
No, because it's blocking bread and and also as bread and corn is not that's not gluten in corn, but it's the same family. Okay. So it's not only to gluten. We call it corn in Danish, but you don't do it in English. So but you can't eat any of roux or wheat.
Any kind of grass.
Any kind of grass. And that include corn as well, and it also include some of the newer, not gluten, but still grass, because that blocks it. Okay. Yeah. And also blocks iron.
Okay.
Yeah. Or blocks the most of the hard work, but you really don't obtain it in any good way. Okay. So bear that in mind, that you should really, really also, and that's the other point, that's the other way to be a bread eating person. You are eating bread, it will fill you up so quick that you will actually take the space for you eating enough vegetables.
Okay.
If you eat bread, try to count, do I get my 600 grams of vegetables per day? No, not in any way you can do that.
Yeah.
Because you are full. And it's so easy and convenient with bread, yes, but it blocks your appetite.
Okay.
So, yeah.
What about rice?
Rice is also a grass.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it depends again if you are eating a lot. And for example, for obtain the minerals, you have to take the minerals an hour before, and then you can eat after that.
Yeah.
But be sure that you have actually it's a long time enough to. I always take my minerals in the morning on empty stomach, and then there goes a lot of hours before I take any. I mean, I do have water, but that's it. It doesn't do anything. And again at night before bedtime, because that at least 3 hours from my last meal. So that's where I put my minerals.
Yeah.
And then of course there's something about how this. It's not all good.
No. Okay.
And as for the magnesium and all the other minerals, it depends. On how they're made. Yeah.
But what about if you're on a cleanse? What about fasting?
Yeah.
That's for me. I've been fasting. I've also been fasting for 40 days.
I know.
And
that's only for men to do, not women. No.
Why?
We are humans, but we are different.
Yeah.
Men have a 24-hour cycle, and then they're back, and then they take another one. Women have approximately a 28 days cycle. So it takes 28 days till we are back on here where we started, where you are only 24 hours. And that you will ruin your whole sex hormone balance if you fast 40 days as a woman, because it will really you will have it horrible, and your hormone balance will be totally out of sync, because for instance, it's 10 years since my period stopped, but I still work in a cyclic way. So when I'm getting close to the last part of the cycle, I do top up with healthy or nutrition with a high level of carbohydrate, because that will help my body to produce progesterone. And then I also manage my stress very closely in that period. Otherwise, I'm gonna kill the world. Just when I was in a real period, just what we call PMS. So I nurture myself, and I say, oh, you should have some sweet potato made in the oven, and this cozy food, healthy but cozy, and you could put butter or ghee if really you have a problem with milk product from cows. So use the ghee instead of it tastes marvelous, and salt. That's because that's my craving for salt. Also follow my cycle.
Okay.
So important also to know that. And if I have some big presentations or something, I put it in the middle of my period, around where if I had been a fertile woman, I would have my egg to pop.
Yeah.
That's where the female has tremendous power, and we glow, and we can So this is where you can do this. And I manage my fasting during my cycle. I always do intermittent fasting, but what I eat in my eating window depends on where I am, as I said. And also when I fast, I put it just after you could say in not the first 3 days of my what should be my menstruation, but after that I can feel okay now I can feel fast.
Okay, so as a woman it's better to intermittent fasting instead of fasting for weeks.
A week should you never do, but definitely 40, 24, 40, 36, 48, 72 hours, yes. But be aware, especially when you're out on 72 hours or 3 days, be aware that it should be in that part of you have 2 times in the cycle where you can do this.
Okay.
Just after menstruation, where you're still before you go into your fertile period or cycle, part of the cycle, and then just after, before you go to the period of your PMS. There where you are a dragon, or in you call it also your autumn, the female autumn in the cycle.
Okay.
And the female autumn in your cycle is in Hindu. It says it's a Kali energy. And if you ever see the goddess Kali, you will be aware that, oh yes, it's true. Because she's blue in her skin, and she's got this very eyes, and she eat men like yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. That's Kali energy.
Okay.
So be aware. Women in their autumn goes in the Kali energy.
Okay.
Yeah.
But what can men do to? For me, I fast 18 hours a day, and then I have a 6-hour eating window.
Yeah.
And I feel that my stress level is much lower when I don't eat all the time.
Yeah.
And also it gives me a kind of peace of mind and my thoughts. I don't have as many uncontrolled thoughts as I would have done otherwise.
And that's what I experience as well when I do that. Yeah, definitely. You are not juggling with all those fucking sex hormones. Well, of course you also have. So it should also be always in, you are again your own reference. So in which part of my life am I? Am I in my spring, my summer, my autumn, or actually I'm going into the winter? I guess I'm going into my winter now, passing 60. This is where, yes, it's calm and it's good. But where am I? Am I around the 50 and just facing also a drop down in my testosterone? You have to be your own reference to feel, is this good for me to fast so long, or should I maybe move my eating window so there is actually 8 hours from I stopped eating to I went to bed, and this is so you have you have to fine tune it. What is good? What makes the day for me? And really be curious. But definitely, it's you are so lucky. Your Gonium goes for 24 hours because if you've got all this type 2 diabetes, overweight, blah blah blah, you simply just do this fasting and intermittent fasting, and you lose weight like this. And if you have a wife and she's trying the same, it's really not fun seeing the guy have a lot of success, and as a female it's not that quick. So don't ever compare, and not with other men as well, and not gender to gender, because don't it won't.
But I heard of a lot of people getting rid of sugar disease and even cancer by fasting. I had a guy that was fasting in Canada for 2 months. And the doctor said he only had 6 months to live, and after 2 months of fasting, the cancer was gone. So
it's actually an important thing with cancer. Cancer is living by sugar. So I don't get it going to the cancer ward at the hospital and they have serving sugar water and sugar candy and sugar cake. I don't get it. But okay, they do here at least. And it has been known, I mean, for really decades, cancer cells are living only by sugar. They cannot produce ketones as we are getting our energy from when we fast. And also remember, ketones was the energy form as well as sugar when we were born. We could not go through a whole night if we didn't produce ketones. And that's why babies and newborn has to be really choppy, because they are using their fat as energy level, and they are growing so fast. They need so much energy. So that's why. So we have two energy system fueled by either sugar or ketones. Cancer cells is not able to live by ketones. They need sugar. So when you close that gate, and of course there will be sugar in vegetables, but not in the amount but drop all kind of sugar, processed food, because in processed food it is added all the time, because that's because of what they do to our brain. So you got this addiction to, I need it again. Salt, sugar, fat. That's
what about fruit? That's a different kind of sugar.
Yes, it depends also on because it will be digested in the liver. So, and that's why in US they see this epidemic with non-alcoholic fat liver, because that's for the corn syrup they're adding to the So, and that's fructose. Corn syrup is fructose. Again, it will not trip you over to eat an apple a day. Also remember, eat the fruit and the vegetables belonging to the environment where you are born and live in.
But syrup is also it's concentrated.
Yeah, it's too much.
If you eat an apple, there's all the fibers as well.
Exactly, and it will take much longer due to the fiber and everything before. If you take it as a syrup, or it will really shock your whole system. Avoid it. What about honey? Honey is also fruit sugar. Yes. Okay. But if you got it not heated, and if I got cancer, I would actually also avoid honey until I've cleared my cancer. And when we talk cancer, if you also get chemotherapy, be aware that when you fast, all your healthy cells kind of shut down and wait until you have your ketones. But even though the ketones, it's shut down, but the cancer cells are not shut down because they can't. They are only living by sugar and they cannot shut down. So do fasting 3 days up till you got your chemotherapy, your poison, because you will have less
cells closed down.
Yes, and it will give you. It's also the first study came in 2012, and I was what is amazing. So all the healthy cells close down, but the cancer cells will really be targeted.
Okay.
And you will have less side effects of the cancer therapy. So, God forbid it, but should I ever get cancer and should I go for a cancer therapy, I would definitely fast 3 days before.
And for men, you can just fast for a month or two and then...
Be aware that also your muscle mass is important. So it must not interfere with your muscle mass.
Yeah. But if that's my... what I learned when I was fasting for 40 days is I moved around. I wasn't just laying in my bed for 40 days, because then you lose all your muscle mass.
Exactly.
I was moving around. And I wasn't really that tired. Of course, I couldn't work out and I couldn't lift I could lift heavy things, but I get
not
tired.
iron. No,
I couldn't work out.
No.
But I could move furniture, and I couldn't chop firewood. That was too much. But I could do other things around the garden as well. And if you fast for over, I believe it's 72 hours, your growth hormones increase by 300%.
And your brain connection and all the cleaning of the brain is amazing.
Yeah.
Yes. If you fast for 36 hours, it's actually your dopamine you are boosting.
Okay.
And that's good for an addict. So I always go for the 36 hours at least, because then, home safe, I got some. Yeah.
But for me also, I was told that when you fast, that's and when the body doesn't have any foods to digest, it works on other things. There's no more food. What can I do now? I can regulate the blood sugar and other things, fight diseases and stuff like that.
It's a clean-up period.
Yeah.
It has never been like the heart associations has promoted for the last 30 years. You should eat at least, and also the diabetic association. 6 times a day. It's really, really bad for your body to do that. Yeah. No, don't do that. Again, remember, where did we come from? We were living out here at wherever we were living, and we did not have a refrigerator or a store or anything. We could eat what we could go out and find.
Yeah.
So it was naturally to fast. Intermittent fasting was naturally. It just didn't have the name intermittent fasting, of course, but that was because there was not food all the time during the day and night. And during the winter, you have a longer fasting period as well.
Yeah.
And we are made to do this.
Yeah.
But not in the same way, men and women and children as well, because they are even more sensitive to this. They should not fast, but they don't need fasting if they have a normal child. Normal in this meaning is playing outside, in the trees, eating healthy, non-processed food. It's not a problem then.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
We forgot to tell the listeners or viewers that what kind of education you actually got.
I didn't I mention it? I can't remember. No. But I'm a biomedical laboratory scientist, and I also educated as a nutritional therapist within functional medicine. And functional medicine is a medical specialty in, so after you have, if you are a medical doctor, after you finished as a medical doctor, you can choose to go down the path calling functional medicine. And in functional medicine, we believe, I'm not a doctor, I'm a nutritional therapist, but I work with doctors that are functional medicine. And in functional medicine, we believe that food is your medicine, that food can heal a lot, if we eat as we were supposed to do, as we are made to do. So that's of course you cannot eat a broken leg good. That's
no,
for sure. But
you can fast and make your growth hormone.
Exactly, you can fast and you can support the healing in that way. But you need sometimes surgery, or at least that the broken leg are put together firmly.
Yeah,
of course.
Of course.
So, but we really use food as the first medicine before we do anything else. And then again, one size does not fit all. It depends. Female, male, how to do it, and do I have any problems with my gut? Do I have leaky gut? Do I have allergy? Do I have autoimmune diseases?
What kind of blood type do you have?
Yes, because that actually also plays a role when we see what kind of food can you actually digest, especially when it comes to bread and gluten and all those, because it is only 10,000 years ago we were settled down. Until then we were gatherers and hunters. So that's
Nice.
yeah.
Well, thank you for being here.
Thank you for inviting me.
Very interesting.
It's I could when I could keep on.
Maybe
and
we
I'm
can
sorry,
do
I can't remember.
episode.
Maybe you could put it in the note, because I'm sure when you close the video, I will remember the name of this very famous international medical magazine that this scientific article were actually posted. Yeah.
I will do
that. For the moment, it's just gone. Yeah.
That's that's what happens when you have PTSD.
Well, that's exactly what's happened when you have PTSD and are really tired after a long life with cortisol swimming over your body or your brain, and that's also why the loss of memory, not in dementia, but especially your work memory and short memory. Yeah.
Yes.
So yeah.
Well, thank you for tuning in, and
Thank
remember,
you.
don't have a good day, have a great one.
Exactly.